How's it going, everyone? It's Wild here, and welcome to this week's episode of But Why. I'm always trying to figure out ways to make this series a little bit better. The layout for the gameplay in one of the previous episodes didn't satisfy me too much, so I've updated it here. I've got some Killing Floor 2 footage playing. Hopefully, it's a bit entertaining to watch, and I think it looks a bit better than the previous layout. So in this episode, we are talking about my favorite anime of all time. Favorite anime or manga, depending on how you want to put it. Today, we were talking about Berserk. We're going to be talking about how I first got into Berserk, my thoughts about it, why I like it, such and such. I can't imagine this episode's going to be too long, but I said that about last week's episode as well. We all know how that one ended. It ended up being the longest episode to date. But then again, I didn't edit it much, and that's why it was I didn't edit it at all, actually. I actually uploaded the raw file. I'm probably going to edit this one a bit. I just didn't edit that one very much because I was tired and didn't feel like it. But I feel like I'm going to edit this one down a bit, so it's a bit better. How I got into Berserk. For those of you who don't know, Berserk was written by Kentaro Miura, I believe is how you pronounce his name. And sadly, he is no longer with us. He passed away, I want to say, a couple of years ago. I don't know exactly how long ago, but it's been a while now. People have actually been concerned as to how the manga is going to continue because he didn't actually finish it before he died, and I believe he started writing it in either late 1990s, I think. And he's entrusting it to someone or just a group of people. I don't know who's doing it exactly, but anyways, I'm not caught up on the manga anyways. I'll be sure to mention how far I've gotten into the manga. But how I got into Berserk was, I actually have my friend Shadow or Braden to thank for it, because if he hadn't have invited me to play the game Dark Souls 2 when I was 16 years old, I don't think I would have ever gotten into Berserk, because I've mentioned it before, but Berserk is inspired, or Dark Souls is inspired by Berserk in many ways. Just like by scenery, storytelling. Like Blythe from Elden Ring is literally like a character that's like almost exactly like Guts in appearance. I mean, he's not a wolf, but like in a lot of ways, Guts is really, or like compared to a wolf. And I'll show you why in a bit. Played Dark Souls 2 with my friend Braden. Then we played Dark Souls 3. And eventually I think I was on the Dark Souls 3 subreddit. And I read this post about how Dark Souls 3 has a lot of Berserk references. And it's not just Dark Souls 3, it's the whole Dark Souls series in general. So I searched it up and watched the 1997 anime, which I am a huge fan of Berserk, but I'm a bit of a fake fan at the same time. Like, I have like so much, like, well, not so much, but a decent amount of like merchandise is, I guess, how I would put it. Like, I'm going to show off a good bit of my Berserk stuff because I don't know if I'll have any other time to show it off. But like I said, I started with the 1997 anime. I actually do have it on DVD here. This is like the remastered DVD collection they came out with in, I think, 2007, but I don't know exactly for sure. And I do believe that this is like the best Berserk adaptation when it comes to an anime, because while the movies are good and the animation quality is pretty good, this tells the story the best, and Berserk is an amazing story. They did still skip some stuff, but like it was bestly adapted in 1997. So I watched the 1997 show, and no spoilers, but it has a massive cliffhanger. Like, it's huge. Like, a pivotal plot point happens, a plot twist, and I didn't find out what happened until months later when I decided to watch. I want to say it might have been even years later, like a year or two later, till I found out what happened after the eclipse. Because Skull Knight wasn't even in the 1997 anime, and he was in the movies. But like I said, no spoilers. But fast forward like a year or two, I watched the movies. And as you guys know, I've made multiple AMVs on the movies. Check out them. It's one of them is called Unbreakable, and the other one is called Hope It Haunts You. Both of them are Citizen Soldier songs, which I just think the way Citizen Soldier's like songs relate to Berserk are pretty good because obviously I decided to make A&Bs on them. Another reason I like Berserk so much is because I love the way Kentaro Miura portrays Guts as this character that went through so much in his life, and he pretty much tries to stay true to who he is the best he can and brute forces through everything. And the most important part about Berserk is that Guts is human, and he's going up against these beings that he shouldn't be able to, because he's only human. He's like meant to be so much weaker than everything else, and he still prevails anyways. He just gives up. He doesn't give up no matter what. He's this unstoppable force. He kills demons. Like, he can't be stopped. And even through all this trauma that he's been through, he still pushes through no matter what. So I just really like the way he tells the story of how he has dealt with this trauma. Guts as a character is like one of the most well-written characters of all time. Probably up there with Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender, although I'd say Guts is more well-written. To show off just a little bit more on how much of a fan I am of Berserk, my wallpaper right now, which I will actually show you, that's the best I can show it. It's Guts, and I believe here it's the 100-Man Slayer part where he kills, obviously, 100 guys. It's just, I got a wallpaper of it. Second of all, I have a phone case that is of Guts, and as well, my phone screensaver. My phone screensaver, you can't see it very well, but it is Guts in the Berserker armor just staring up at the stars. And another thing I've got, well, I've got a couple things in my little shelf down here. I have the Berserk Deluxe Editions 1 through 5. I actually only have, I've only read through the first one and not even a little bit of the second one. Like, I have the first 5, but I've only read the first one and a little bit of the second. Like I said, I'm a bit of a fake fan because I'm not even out of the Golden Age arc. I'm a big fake fan. Oh, I also forgot to mention when I was talking about Dark Souls earlier on the references, you literally can get Guts' sword. It's called the Dragon's... Wait, it's just called the Great Sword in Dark Souls. I think it's called that in Elden Ring too, but I'm not too sure. But it's straight up ripped from Berserk. Another thing I have is I have a 4-piece disc plate. I can actually turn you around and look. You can look up there too. One of them fell off and I haven't bothered to put it back up, but I've got a Berserk 4-piece disc plate up there. Forget what the piece is called, but it's from Anato Fistark. But it's by Anato Fistark on Twitter, if you want to check him out. Another thing I've got is I've got another disc plate of... It's somewhere around here, but it's of like it has like him like in the Berserker armor laying on the rock with his sword on his shoulder, and he's like, it's like the moon in the background and it's blue. It's like one of the most iconic Berserk pieces. And I've also got a display of that. Trying to think if there's anything else I have, but nothing else is really coming to mind. This is my prize piece of Berserk though, and I've showed this on the channel before. But this is my Guts Berserk armor statue. I pre-ordered this when I first saw it because I think it's the coolest thing in the freaking world. But super cool to look at. Really glad I own it. Don't know what else I need to discuss, honestly, but other than to gush about how cool of a character Guts is, how big of a fan I am that it brought me closer to realizing that I like dark fantasy. I like stories of loss and seeing how those characters have dealt with it. It's another reason Levi from Attack on Titan is one of my favorite characters as well, because he's lost so much, and the way he deals with it is just, he's so monotone all the time, but then he has these moments of rage where he just doesn't hold back. But this isn't about Attack on Titan. This is just about more dark fantasy. It's made me realize that, like, I've watched shows like Demon Slayer as well. It's not so much dark fantasy. It's pretty dark fantasy because it is pretty dang gruesome and gory. No, it is dark fantasy now I think of it, because, spoiler alert, Tanjiro loses his entire family, and how he's chosen to deal with it is to become a demon slayer and slay Muzan. I just like the characters that prevail through hard times instead of cowering away. And it's made me appreciate horrible storytelling and like grim settings don't upset me, because it just makes me want to learn more about the world. Like in Dark Souls specifically, there's like no like defined civilization. There's no defined civilization. You're like you're the hero. There's like, it's always like a relief and a surprise that you find an NPC or another person that is sane that you can actually talk to. I think at this point, I'm just trying to find things to talk about that's not Berserk, because I pretty much talked about everything I want to about Berserk. I honestly don't know what to fill the rest of this time with. So, I do have a part 1 of a Let's Play for the Berserk game, Berserk and the Band of the Hawk. I looked up some reviews on the game, and the critiques for it is that it's repetitive gameplay, and I would have to agree that the only innovative gameplay of it is that it's an RPG slasher where you're just overpowered and you kill everything in one shot no matter what, and the upgrades don't really mean much. I haven't tried playing it since that video came out on my second channel. If you want to watch it, that's where it's at. It's on my second channel. I haven't tried playing it more, but I can see how it can get old real fast, because it's push this button for light attack, push this button for heavy attack, and just take out the one-shot enemies with the occasional two-shot enemy. So I don't know if I intend on finishing it, since it's basically just another adaptation of the Golden Age, and we've had enough of those already. We don't need any more. Give us the Black Swordsman arc, you cowards. I don't got much else to say. I just know I wanted to talk about Berserk, and that I love it, and that dark storytelling is a thing. I also have tons of shirts. I could show you my shirts, but I just feel like that's boring. I just like to brag to people that I like Berserk. Has that video gotten that point across? Dang, we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel this episode, aren't we? I wanted to get a tattoo of Berserk. Not sure if I want it to be like a manga panel or like just the brand of sacrifice. I don't know if I want the brand of sacrifice necessarily, but I do want something like one of Guts's like rage panels where he's just like, looks freaking dope. I know that's like hard to describe or like hard to pinpoint because he looks dope in a lot of his manga panels, but I've kind of wanted to get a manga panel, but at the same time, what make me ultimate weeb status when I've already established myself as weeb status? So I don't know, I've just debated it. Also, cowards, give us a faithful Berserk adaptation. Like, have a good studio do it. Don't make it 3D like Berserk 2016. Give us a soundtrack like Berserk 2016, because that metal remix of My Brother is beautiful. Love it. Most people don't like it because they think Berserk should be it's orchestral, which in a sense I agree, but that metal remix of My Brother, beautiful. But no, I would say have Wit Studio do it, but dude, those animators have got to be so tired. They're doing Chainsaw Man, they're doing Attack on Titan, and they're doing One Punch Man now. Like, have UFO Table pick it up or something, because they've got like probably the best visuals in the business. But I don't know if they have like a style that would fit Berserk, or if they could adapt the style of Berserk. I know they did the intro for Code Vein, and they did Demon Slayer, but I don't know what other projects they've done. I am of the belief that in the animes that the dub is better than the sub, because I think the English voice actors for Casca, Griffith, and Guts are pristine and golden. Like, don't ever change Guts' voice actor. Don't ever change Griffith's voice actor. I can see Casca's being changed, but hers fits 100% as well. It's not just Berserk as well that I've liked dark and grim characters. Like, all growing up, I've liked Raphael from TMNT, and he's kind of just this pissed off guy that, you know, is gritty and mean.
kind of like Guts is at first, and then after the eclipse, he kind of turns his emotions off and shuts down and doesn't want to let anyone in because he's afraid of losing people. Spoilers. But no, I think that's going to do it for this episode of But Why. It's a bit of a shorter one, but talked about Berserk, wanted to do it. Tune in next week for hopefully a pretty litty episode. And yeah, see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.